Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Welcome back to the channel. Got a very special video for you today on the entire standard release Dubai series from Bond number 9. So this is the 11 standard releases. They have come out with some ones since then that are adorned in the Swarovski crystals. And I will eventually get to those. I'm going to try some decants first because they are very expensive and it's pretty clear just by the amount of Swarovski crystals on those bottles that you are paying a lot for the presentation as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to go through all of these and then I'm going to do a quick ranking of them as well. Try to surprise you guys a little bit. Now, for those of you who have watched the channel for quite some time, you're probably going to have a good idea of what my favorites from the Dubai series already are. But we'll just go through them real quick and then I'll do a quick ranking after that, just so you guys can get a better idea of what my personal preferences are. We'll go ahead and get it started, guys. So a little bit of a spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't been watching the channel. The number one from the entire Dubai collection for me personally is Dubai Gold. So many good ones on here, but for me, this is just a fragrance that I personally love. The blending, how it goes on my skin, the DNA of the fragrance, development, longevity. It is absolutely beautiful. It's got saffron, bitter orange, kind of like a brandy cognac note at the top as well. Ginger, lots of woods, musk, and patchouli as well. Very base heavy fragrance with a nice opening note. You have a lot of spice between the florals of the saffron, the ginger. I just can't say enough good things about this fragrance. It's extremely long lasting, very well projecting, good development. That brandy, saffron, ginger kind of top note that stays around for 2 to 3 hours, it seems, on skin, kind of hovering around. And then it starts kind of transforming into a very wood, musk, and patchouli heavy fragrance. Can't recommend it enough. One of my favorites, not just from the Dubai collection, but from my entire collection of all my fragrances. So that should say a lot about how much I like Dubai Gold. So Dubai Platinum, another one that is an absolute home run for me. Dubai Platinum is an amazing fragrance. It actually reminds me a little bit of the older Creed Spice and Woods. A little bit more incense and wood and oud type notes in here. Not quite as bright and spicy as I remember the Creed Spice and Woods being. A little bit of vanilla and creaminess and sweetness, but it's very understated as well. That is an absolutely incredible fragrance. So Dubai Platinum, again, if you really like those types of Middle Eastern fragrances, it's also got papyrus oil in there, which I personally love. I know other people who may not love that note, so if you're sensitive to that note, it may just not be for you, but it's definitely one of my favorites of the entire Dubai collection. And we'll see. We'll see if it makes the top 5. We'll just leave gold at number 1 for now, and when I run through them all, I'll reorder them really quickly. So we got Amethyst here. One of my personal favorite fragrances. Again, I feel like I'm going to say that about most of these. This fragrance, I was expecting more of a cool weather type of vibe when I read the notes, and you can definitely wear it during cool weather because it is strong. Projection, sillage, but for me, I get more of a tropical note from this. Again, on my skin, smelling it out of the bottle, spraying it, wearing it as much as I have, very, very reminiscent of like a non-alcoholic beach cocktail type of vibe to it. A little bit of sweetness, some tobacco, like somebody's smoking a really nice quality but lighter tobacco cigar. But they're smoking it far away to where you just get this occasional waft of that tobacco. Again, the more I wear it, the more I do pick up the tobacco in here. But it's not something, especially at first, I would not have picked the note of tobacco out of here unless I read it on the notes. It's not something that is overly dominant. It's not something that is not a tobacco fragrance, in my opinion, even though it does have tobacco in it. It's not the focal point of it. So Amethyst, man, if you want to talk about the strongest, it is definitely one of the top 2 or 3 strongest fragrances in the Dubai lineup in terms of how long it lasts, how much it fills up a room. And believe it or not, Amethyst, I gave my mother Amethyst as a gift, and it's actually become her signature scent, essentially. So now Garnet, more feminine, just like Ruby. I would say Amethyst, Ruby, and Garnet are probably the most feminine in the entire lineup, in my opinion. And Garnet is just absolutely incredible. I like wearing it as a guy. but it's definitely more for women in my opinion. It's got like a fruity, floral, plum, marine slight note in there with the seaweed. This stuff is absolutely gorgeous, and it is very distinctive smelling on skin and in the air. Very, very clean. You don't get too much of the marine notes from garnet, but it is very, very slight in there with the fruit and the floral notes. Not quite as much marine notes as citrine, and we'll get to that one in a little bit, but gorgeous stuff. So next one here, Dubai Ruby. In my opinion, probably the most feminine one from the house besides garnet here. And I had to have ruby to complete my collection, which is one of the reasons I bought it. And I will wear the heck out of this thing in the spring and summertime. Jammy, like a jammy rose floral. You have to look up the notes in here. It's just very clean, sweet, without being overly sweet or floral. It's got some interesting base notes. You know, it's got civet and myrrh, and I was expecting it to be more base heavy and manly. And I can see why they didn't do that, because a lot of these, in fact, I would say about 80 to 90% of these lean more masculine, besides especially garnet, ruby, and then maybe amethyst would be like 50-50, because I know a lot of women that enjoy that. But ruby, for me, I feel like they didn't make the base notes as prevalent. They did it more for structure and longevity, because if they would have made the base notes heavier in ruby, it would 100% be more of like a masculine, Middle Eastern, amouage type fragrance. And I think Bond wanted to have something a little bit more approachable for women. And coming up next, Dubai Amber is the exact opposite of that. So Dubai Amber may be the strongest and most Middle Eastern smelling of the entire Dubai lineup. You just look at the notes, man. It's got incense, oud, heavy civet musk, a little bit of a skanky animalic note, but it's really well blended with the woods, the incense, and of course you have some really sweet notes of vanilla, raspberry, Bulgarian rose. I mean, you just got to look up the notes in this. It's got saffron in there as well. I think it's got certain types of like wood oils and balsam oils. Laundry list of ingredients in Dubai Amber, and is absolutely, for me, a cold weather fragrance, more of an occasional fragrance, much like Black Sapphire coming up here on the list. But yeah, Dubai Amber, I had a 7 ml bonbon. When I got halfway through it, I was debating on even whether, I was going to buy a full bottle or not, because it is just so strong and situational. It's like, man, when would I ever wear this? And I just grew to love it so much. I was like, man, I'll just buy a bottle, and I know I'm only going to wear it during really cool weather or certain situations, and I know this bottle is going to last me 20 to 30 years, and, couldn't be happier with it. Love Dubai Amber. Black Sapphire, now in terms of situational usage, pretty similar to Amber, but a completely different fragrance, guys. It's dark, dark rose, beeswax, saffron, and then just an absolute ton of wood, incense, and oud notes. It's very, very strong. I mean, the opening is very strong, very floral, very overwhelming. When I first sprayed it, I was actually joking with a subscriber with this Yarrow. He was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm masculine enough to pull off this fragrance. I was like, yeah, you'll be good, man. Just spray it on, and then don't see or talk to anybody for about an hour and let it dry down and settle down, and then go out in public, and you'll be all right. And it really is one of those fragrances to where it is so strong. The first 15, 20, 30 minutes, even the first hour, depending on your environment. It is just a very, very strong fragrance. But for that reason, personally, I absolutely love it. It's become one of my favorites in the collection. Again, we'll see when we rank these. I feel like I say that about a lot of these here, but for certain situations, Black Sapphire is really incredible. So next one here, we're going to go Dubai Indigo. In my opinion, this is the most versatile and approachable fragrance from the entire Dubai lineup, besides maybe citrine or jade. But indigo, having that exotic blue fragrance DNA, you got peach, lychee fruit, some florals in there that really kind of bring those fruit notes into an exotic, lush, tropical kind of category. And really, for me, what sets indigo apart is the dry down. You got oak moss, white musk, agar wood. It really starts to get more and more masculine and a lot more, I wouldn't even say expensive smelling, because the opening is already very exotic for a blue fragrance. But you really start to understand the quality of some of these fragrances and the ingredients put in them. among the dry down here, and indigo is no exception. That is an incredible fragrance, and again, for me personally, it's going to get a lot of usage during spring and summertime. Now, the newest one to my collection, and the one that completed the 11 here for the standard release Dubai series, is Dubai Emerald. Dubai Emerald. Super strong rose, florals, woods, incense, leather, oud. They don't list oud as a note, but then again, you watch the video on Bond Number 9's website about Emerald, and it does list oud in there. Very, very interesting fragrance. Probably one of the most polarizing from the entire Dubai lineup, besides Black Sapphire and Amber here. It's going to be a fragrance that is just not for everybody. I can't wait to wear it. I've worn it twice since I've got it, I believe. I'm going to continue wearing it in the cooler weather, and I'll probably try it in the heat a little bit, but I think it's just going to be too heavy for high heat situations. But you really never know until you try it. So it'll be interesting to wear that in 90-degree weather and see if somebody curses me out for it. So we'll go on to Citrine here. One of my favorites from the entire lineup. Very approachable, very clean. Definitely one of those fragrances for me. Citrine, it's fresh, a little fruity. You know, you got red berry. I believe it's fir balsam in here as well. Seaweed. So what you really get is a nice, almost blue-green fragrance. And of course, you look at some of the florals and also some of the base notes. You got some oak moss and woods in there as well. I believe Costus is in this fragrance. Citrine is just, for me, 10 out of 10 fragrance. You know, there's probably 3 or 4 in this lineup I could truly say that about, but Citrine, I know a lot of other people really enjoy it. It is unique. It's versatile. You know, it's something you could wear during cooler weather if you wanted because it's strong enough. For me personally, I'm saving it a little bit more for higher heat situations, higher humidity situations, because to me, it is more reminiscent of like a blue-green fragrance. So, last one here, definitely not least, we're going to go Dubai Jade, Rose, Cumin, Raspberry. It's got a nice raspberry jam with that spice of the cumin and the florals of the rose. Very well balanced. Definitely a surprise because when I looked at the base notes, somewhat similar to Ruby, the base notes look really heavy, like really, really heavy. And part of me was looking forward to that. And then when I tried Jade, I really understood what the fragrance was about. It is more about the top and the middle notes, especially for those first 2 to 3 hours. And it's really interesting because as it dries down, then you really start to feel the kind of masculine presence. So it's not too unlike Indigo and maybe a few other ones to where it definitely starts off very unisex. You know, I think a lot of women would like Jade as well and would wear it. But at least on my skin, after 4 to 5 hours, then you really start getting into those heavier wood and incense types of base notes, more Middle Eastern influence as you would expect from the Dubai series. So that one is excellent. I believe it was Eric Rice that mentioned that to me a long time ago. You know, he had it in his top 4 or 5 from his entire house of Bond Number 9, and he has, I think, just as many, if not even more, Bond Number 9 fragrances than I do. And, you know, for someone to think that highly of a fragrance and me be into the house of Bond Number 9 and not have it, and he actually bought Amethyst off of my recommendation, I bet. I think it was like maybe a week after he let me know about Jade, he ended up buying Dubai Amethyst off of one of my videos. So kind of returned the favor to him, trusted his judgment. I needed it for the collection anyway, and Dubai Jade is just incredible. So we'll go ahead now into the video. For most people, if you want to stick around, I'm going to re-rank them really quickly, maybe take about 5 minutes, but I'm not going to review them, you know, again, since I just did that. And we'll go ahead and get to it. So as you guys know, gold is my number 1. Number 2, it's going to be really, really hard for these. So number 2, I think I probably would put Citrine just over Dubai Indigo. And Dubai Indigo is an amazing fragrance, but for me, I think Citrine is just that little bit better. It's an amazing fragrance. So most of these, especially the top 5, are kind of interchangeable. Dubai Indigo is absolutely incredible. Citrine, just a little bit more unique with that kind of green note with the fir balsam and the seaweed as well. Just hard to pick, man. It really is, some of these. Now, it's going to be not really controversial, but for number 4, I'm probably going to have to go, as much as some people don't like this fragrance, I just love Amethyst. I love everything about it, the development, the way it makes me feel, the sillage, the projection. It smells very luxurious to me, at least on my skin. I know other people who are not a huge fan of this fragrance, but personally, I love it, and on my skin, it is just absolutely dynamite. Amethyst is just one of those fragrances. As soon as you smell it in the air, once you've worn it and you've smelled it once, if you ever smell it on somebody else, and I get that privilege because obviously I'm around my mom a lot, but when she wears this, I know exactly what it is every single time. There's no question about what she's wearing, and it is an extremely distinct and powerful fragrance in the air. So for that reason, I absolutely love it. Now, to make the top 5, this is going to be so hard to choose between jade, black sapphire, amber, and what I'll do here is I'll kind of leave a little bit of a caveat. I'm going to put jade as number 5 only because of how versatile it is and how much I just love the DNA. Now, personally, depending on the situation, I really, really love black sapphire, Dubai amber, and platinum, but I feel like these are not quite as versatile, and they're a little bit more, I guess you could say, unique and polarizing. So that's definitely one of those things that's personal preference, but jade is such a good fragrance, even though it is not as Middle Eastern smelling as amber, black sapphire, or platinum. There's just not enough good things to be said about jade. It is an extremely versatile fragrance, kind DNA, certainly unisex, so very tough to leave that out at the top 5. So next one, I'm probably going to have to go black sapphire. So that'll be number 6 there. Black sapphire, extremely, extremely strong. Again, going over it, but one of those fragrances, I've said this before, as good as it smells after it dries down and you smell it on skin, what this fragrance, the magic is, what it does in the air. I get a lot of compliments on this actually when it dries down. It definitely fills a room up very well, very similar to the projection and the power of amethyst, gold, and you could probably even throw Dubai amber in that category as well. So next one here, I'm going to have to go with Dubai amber because it's very, very similar to the black sapphire, not in terms of how they smell, just the situational usage, the power, how polarizing they are, very, very unique and strong Middle Eastern fragrances. Next one I'm going to have to go, man, this is hard. Yeah, I'm going to have to go Dubai Platinum because this fragrance, and this could even be higher, it's just really personal preference and when you're going to wear it. This fragrance is absolutely incredible. Spice, woods, again, reminiscent of Creed, spice and woods with a little bit more of a modern twist and a little bit more sweetness in there. It's really, really good fragrance. Definitely more oud and incense in here as well than spice and woods. So, what we got here? This is number 9. Number 9 is emerald. Number 8 was platinum. So emerald, again, I'm going to have to wear it more. It's a newer fragrance, but I'm really liking it for right now. And leather, incense, you got all the things in that fragrance. The opening with the florals is very strong and very clean. Now the last two, because they're so feminine, I don't really wear these that often, but I'm going to have to go ruby and garnet. Very floral, very clean. Garnet, I would say garnet is very marine, but also very fruity and floral, and it's a very slight marine note. Again, not too different from citrine, but not nearly as marine, and it's much different, much more plum and floral heavy, where citrine, of course, more red berry, more woods, more fir balsam. So very different fragrances, although they could be worn in similar situations. And ruby, of course, one of my favorite clean floral openings from the entire house, but as a guy, I would have liked to see a little bit heavier usage of those base notes of the civet and the myrrh, but again, from a marketing and from Bond 9's perspective, I can see why they didn't, because they did need a couple of these in their Dubai lineup to appeal to women. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Took quite a few years, I think it was like 2 or 3 years to get the entire Dubai collection here, so it was a work in progress. So hope this video is some use to you. Again, please like and subscribe. You guys know I always forget to ask, and I don't ask often, but it does help the channel grow. Consider getting a membership as well. It's going to help me buy more fragrances and try them out, and hopefully, give you guys some better education about what is worth it from each house, what may fit your style, and what notes you might be into, and how those notes, when you read them, how do they really play across on skin? You know, some of these fragrances, they definitely surprise me, most of them in a good way, but it is interesting, even with my experience, you read notes, you try a fragrance, and then you're always surprised about how they blend certain things in those fragrances. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you soon. Got a lot more stuff coming for the channel. This is just one video that I had planned that I wanted to kind of get through because I have a lot more things coming in. In fact, I've been so busy, I've ordered more fragrances than I can really review at the moment. So that's a good problem to have. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.